Grab your big book, your pen, your highlighter, and notepad and get ready to hear and apply some of the solution from the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous through the experience, strength, and hope of Nikki M. To have a question addressed in a future episode of Noodle It Out with Nikki, please send an email to noodlewithnikki@gmail.com, and Nikki is spelled with 2 Ks. To get a more interactive experience with Nikki as she noodles out life and recovery questions using the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, you can get a link to her weekly Noodle It Out with Nikki meeting held live on Zoom every Monday morning at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. The information to that meeting is in the show notes of this podcast. God morning, God afternoon, and God evening to all. My name is Justin B., and I am the son of an all-powerful and all-loving God and a qualifying addict of multiple fellowships living in the miracle of recovery, and I'm here with the intelligent agent, spearhead of God's ever-advancing creation, and my co-host, Nikki M. Nikki, please take a minute to introduce yourself.
Hi there, everybody. I'm Nikki M, and I'm a grateful spearhead of God's ever-advancing creation. I'm here today in Luxembourg. That's where I'm hoping the internet works here. You never know what's going on with my internet, my phone. I eventually need to get some more high-tech equipment, but it's working, and it's hot here. What's today, August 22nd, and it's pretty warm, but I'm just grateful. We record Noodle Out with Nikki right after the Noodle meeting, so you can imagine I'm really high on what I like to call God dope. Endless
Awesome.
Supply, Justin.
Love it, love it. And I'm glad you made it to Luxembourg, and sounds like you're having a pretty good time so far. Grateful for that. All right. Here's a little bit about what we do here, a little bit about the background of Noodle It Out and RICO 12. I am the steward of the RICO 12 family of recovery resources. Among those are RICO 12 Weekly Speaker Meeting Podcast, the RICO 12 Shares Podcast, a few other projects that are in the making. Noodle It Out with Nikki is one of those. And here's a little bit about what we do here. This project is an exercise and deep dive into finding solutions to questions, issues, and things we encounter in everyday life in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. We'll bring a couple of questions from our own lives, from the lives of people we work with in recovery, and from the listening audience to the Big Book. So get your Big Book out, get ready to run through it and make some notes. And real quick on that, if you have a question that you'd like us to address in a future episode, please send an email to noodlewithnikki@gmail.com. That's Nikki is spelled with 2 Ks, and we'll get to those questions in future episodes. All right. So today, Nikki, I have a question that I heard recently in one of your conversations you had with people, and I'm going to reword it in a way that makes a little bit of sense to me and into this. And let's dive into the Big Book on this. Question is, I'm working my program, I'm sponsoring, I'm doing service, I'm doing my dailies, etc., and I'm living in what I believe to be the fourth dimension. But every time I start feeling the happy, joyous, and free, every time I start feeling like things are moving forward, something comes along and takes me out. What can I do in these situations?
Well, you can pay attention to your Big Book. That's number one. The Big Book family, if you're just tuning in, we work out of the 4th edition of the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. And no, not everyone has to be an alcoholic. What it says is we suffer the disease of alcoholism. And it does say, let's just start what it says about alcoholism. On page 58. It says, remember that we deal with, you could put alcohol, addiction. How about obsessive compulsive thinking, which is cunning, baffling, powerful, without help, what's it? The disease of alcoholism, the disease of addiction is too much for us. But there's one who has all power. That one is God. So you're going along great and everything's great. And all of a sudden we're all in a pink cloud, because the book does promise that we will be rocketed into a 4th dimension. And I like to say 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. You can pick any dimension you want here, just like you can pick any God. But I like to turn to page 14. A lot of people forget these warnings. There's a lot of warnings in the book. At the bottom of page 14, on the top of page 15, it says, for if an alcoholic addict, and if you're here just for your crazy obsessive thinking, because that too qualifies you, if you fail to perfect, not be perfect, but to perfect and enlarge your spiritual life through work. This is work. There's a whole chapter in our book called Into Action, and self-sacrifice. That is a serious word. You have to make some sacrifices for others. That is called the entire human race, God's people. Here's your warning. You will not survive the certain and trials and low spots ahead. It says certain. So that means things are coming for us, Justin. Certain trials and low spots ahead. And if, let's just say Nikki and Justin, do not work at what? Work at improving, enlarging, perfecting our spiritual life, we will surely think. When I go through the book, Justin, because it does center in our mind all of this, I just go, instead of drink, I cross it out and I put a TH. We will surely think again. And if we think, we will surely die. And as I told our friend who was a couple of my friends always, I say, you're not dead under the ground. We're all praying over you at your funeral. No, you're the walking dead. You are blotting out the consciousness of your existence with anything you can get your hands on. So you will surely die, which is a walking dead. And then I go deeper into page 117. And on page 117, Justin, it says, the faith and sincerity of both you. Now, I don't have a husband. I know you have a wife, but how about you and your sponsor, Justin? How about you and your friend, Nikki M, will be put to the test? These workouts, see, we're going to get some workouts. The book comes with warnings, should be regarded as part of your education. We are in the school, I like to call the school of hard knocks. And as I say to everyone, I have a PhD. Like, I'm not going to go pay $100,000 at the University of Toronto, where I'm from, for an education when I can get it right here. And I do get it. I'm retired, Justin. Like my PhD is paid off because it says I'm learning to live. I'm here to learn to live. This is part of my education. You will make mistakes. There it is. But if you are earnest, what's they? The mistakes, the tests, the workouts, they won't drag us down. Instead, we will capitalize them. How about thank you, God? A better way of life will emerge when they are overcome. So the book talks about certain trials and low spots. It talks about workouts. It talks about being put to the test. And then let's just roll into page 87, because everyone thinks they come here, I stop drinking, I stop in my acting out behaviors, I don't do the things I shouldn't be doing, and life is great and I can just go on. No, that's a lie. If you are in the grip of a progressive illness, the way Justin and I are, you get a daily reprieve, and the disease keeps doing. My friend one time told me they do push-ups while we're sleeping, and then we wake up and it's like, what happened? I forgot. So page 87 says, what used to be the hunch or occasional inspiration gradually. See, we're in a generation where, Justin, because we both have grown adults and teenagers, it's like, let me swipe, let me instant gratification. Myself, I'm guilty of it. I've never done Uber Eats, but I know that's a big thing people do. They just swipe and their food's at the door. They just swipe and then there's Tinder and people are at the door. They just swipe and they get anything they want, instant gratification. This does not say that. It says gradually. It gradually becomes a working part of the mind. So being still inexperienced, and we just made conscious contact with this power, it's not probable that we're going to be inspired at all times. Here's the warning. If we think we're going to be on a pink cloud every day, we're going to pay. It says right here, that's Justin and Nikki, we might pay for this presumption in all sorts of absurd actions and ideas. Now, I don't like to get into the absurd actions or ideas with people. I don't like to do that. But you can imagine what your mind goes to, what my mind are behaviors. It's not acceptable. So there's things coming. And if you think that every day is a rosy piece of cake and it's Christmas, surprise. The book is filled with warnings. It's just not like that.
But the promises of recovery say that it should be happy, joyous, and free, and I think for me, the thought on that is it's like what you said, the instant gratification. I want, hey, I've done this. I've checked off these boxes here and I want that happy, joyous, and free. And I want it to stay that way forever, even if I, rest on my laurels for a bit. I think that's human nature. So I'm grateful for these wake up calls here. Do you have any other thoughts on that?
I do, Justin. Let's just go to page 85, where it says, it is easy. See, it's very easy. That's the second paragraph on page 85. It is easy to let up on a spiritual program of action and rest on our laurels. It says we are headed for trouble if we do. If we do what? If we get lazy and rest on our laurels. It says alcohol, acting out, addiction is a subtle foe. It says we are not cured of alcoholism. We're not cured of addiction. It says what we really have is a daily reprieve, contingent, which means based on the maintenance of our spiritual condition. So we get a daily reprieve based on the maintenance. And if you just maintain your spiritual condition, that's not what the book says either. The book clearly says we need to improve conscious contact. And how do you improve conscious contact? By working a 12-step program every day.
Yeah, thank you, Nikki. I appreciate that. Earlier in this share, you talked about The Walking Dead. You talked about, the re-emergence of the thought of the whatever it is that I'm dealing with in my addictive behaviors or patterns or whatever else can lead me to death. It may not be 6 feet under death. It may be The Walking Dead. Sometimes I've felt this way, and I talk to people all the time who say, hey, if I don't medicate right now, I feel like I'm going to die. I feel like I'm going to die if I don't medicate right now. What are your thoughts on that? And are there fates worse than death?
I think there are fates worse than death. I mean, being alive and not, hey, it says right here in our big book, page 60, any life run on self-will can hardly be a success. Any life run on self-will can hardly be a success. We need God. I mean, when we come into this program, it says we admit we're powerless. We're powerless. So I don't know. I mean, it says right here, let's go to page 52, what that looks like. What does that look like worse than death? It looks like this. It looks like we're having trouble with personal relationships. It says we can't control our emotional natures. It says we're prey to misery and depression. It says we can't make a living. It says we feel useless and that we're full of fear and we're unhappy, that we can't seem to be of real help to other people. These are the bedevilments of life. Who wants to live like that? It also says, here, I love this in the stories. Everybody, you have a big book on page 428. How does this feel when you're sober? It says on page 428, it says, I then reached a crossroads. I was sober. And I don't care what you're sober off, your alcohol, your drugs, your men, your money, whatever, your food. And I'm not getting any better. I'm contemplating suicide almost every day. My emotions swing between paralyzing despair and murderous rage, often in the space of a single moment. I'm not happy, joyous, or free. I'm miserable and I'm sick of it. I mean, you might as well be dead. Seriously. And a lot of us in addictions, we don't have the courage to kill ourselves. I know that was my experience. I was too afraid to live and too afraid to die. I need God. It's called The Walking Dead. Isn't that what we're doing, Justin, when we're not tapping this power greater than ourselves? Are we not the Walking Dead, which I just described?
Oh, yeah. And this, that paragraph there is just, and the bedevilments is just the definition of hell to me. Hell may not be this place of fire and brimstone or whatever, but if I'm living this life and experiencing those things, man, what a brutal way to live. How, when I'm feeling that way, what is the solution to get out? What is the first step I can take when I'm feeling those bedevilments, when I'm contemplating suicide almost every day because I am not just fine. I am not happy, joyous, and free.
Page 87 clearly says this. Let me get to it. Where am I? I'm to pause when agitated. Because isn't that, okay, I like to say this. Everybody, what is agitation? Agitation is anything other than perfect peace and ease alone. See, that's a promise on page 75 of our big book. We will be at perfect peace and ease alone. If you are not at perfect peace and ease alone, then you are agitated or doubtful. And then if you're agitated or doubtful, it says we relax and take it easy. We do not struggle. It says the right answers will come after we've tried this for a while. You know, we've got to, and then it says, may you find God now, page 59. A lot of people are not in the present moment now. The big book is magical because it tells you where to find God. You find God right now in this moment. I am not going to find God in morbid reflection, drifting out into what I did and I'm awful and how could I do that? And I'm certainly not going to find God future tripping because I don't know what the future holds. If I did, I would be God, and only God knows what the future holds. So if you're in that situation, anybody, and you're going, what do I do now? You pause. And what does pause land look like? Pause land looks like, for me, it's that place where I can just, nothing's missing because this is all in my mind. So I start snorting, and I like to say snorting like a cocaine addict because that's what we have here. We start snorting good thoughts, which is page 49. I'm an intelligent agent, spearhead of God's ever-advancing creation. I snort another page. God will do for me what I cannot do for myself. I remember that He is the Father. I am the child. I remember all the promises in my big book in that pause land. And then I get into the now. I get right into now. May you find Him now. This is radical. And that's why it says on page 30, many pursue it into the gates of insanity or death, Justin. Many. It doesn't say a few people. And a lot of people won't make it. Living for God is not easy. Self-sacrifice, we talked about it. What is self-sacrifice? Let's go to this page, page 14. We already were there, but we'll just go right to the top where it says simple, but not easy. A price had to be paid. It means the destruction of self-centeredness. I must turn in all. Does everyone, if you're listening, circle all in your big book, all things to the Father of light, who preside over us all. And it's the next sentence says, these are revolutionary and drastic proposals. And we have to accept them. Remember, we're in a program that comes with a book. Like if you're a Christian, you get a Bible. If you're a Jew, you get a Torah. If you're a Muslim, you get a Quran. If you know these you can use all of them. I don't care what you use here because we welcome anyone and everyone. But our program comes with a big book. And our book mentions God in various ways from what I've heard. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, over 400 times. The creator of the universe, the spirit, I can't even think off the top of my head all the names in here that are the great reality, capital G, capital R. I'm going to ask our listeners, are you in the great reality? See, where do you find the great reality? Right here, right now. This is actually, if you want to call it, it's the most radical course in mindfulness, isn't it? We have to be here right now. And Justin, what's missing right now in this moment?
Absolutely nothing.
That's absolutely it. Nothing is missing. And so ask yourself, everybody, oh, will it be better? Like I'm in Luxembourg right now, but when I'm in Toronto, oh, life would be better if I was with my boyfriend. Oh, if my daughter in California was with me. Oh, if I had $1 million cash. I mean, no. Right now in this moment, not one thing is missing. Nothing. Yeah. And you agreed to that.
Yeah, absolutely. There are some times when I don't feel that, but I logically or at least mentally know that in my life. Like you said, sometimes I want to be, somewhere else or doing something else. But if I sit back and hit pause land, like what you said, and really focus on what there is, what's most meaningful, I have everything that I need right now. And I think this is a good place to close us out for this one. How I want to close this out is there on page 14, you read, these are revolutionary and drastic proposals. I'm going to read the next phrase here to close us out. But the moment I fully accepted them, the effect was electric. Guys, feel that electric effect. Let's accept these things and move forward. Keep coming back, everybody. It works when I work it. So work it. You are worth it.